Good morning. This is Bobby Dupre with the Bobby Dupre Show, presented to you each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. And of course, many of you are watching it on your televisions. Many of you are listening to it like you have for the past 36 years on KSLO. And now its sister company, 105.3 out of Simmsport, Louisiana. And of course, many of you are watching it on your old-time antennas, rabbit ears, or old-time big antennas. And we're going to talk about that in a minute with one of our friends I met last night, a new friend. And of course, the internet is growing by leaps and bounds. And I meet people and they say, well, we can't reach you. Well, I said, you look like you
everybody got a computer.
Looks like you computer literate. Well, sure. Well, and I said, look at this. And you know, another thing that we haven't talked about in months, and that's YouTube.
Yep.
YouTube. Pierre mentioned to me, can you imagine? Pierre Mistro mentioned to me, he says, I just learned that I can watch you on YouTube.
When we talk about archive shows, they're not just archived normally anymore, they're archived onto YouTube. So if you're looking for them, get in YouTube, you can look up KDCG that way, or go straight to KDCG's site to see it that way.
I still have it,
you can do the
one y'all showed me how to get into. So that's the only thing I use YouTube for, to show people how easy it is.
Sure. So work on any device you own.
That's correct. And of course, all of this chit-chattering going on, and you've been kind of picking at me. I'm going to name the guy after a while who he likes you, but he said you're getting kind of tough on me sometimes.
Well, I was pulling your chain, and I think what it goes back to is when you were talking about all these reality shows, how that seems to be kicking on, and I said, I don't understand how that could work. I said, I heard they got one coming on with a guy from Parliament and a guy from Plaisance just talk about things they did during the week. So, and I kept after you didn't catch on at first, but you caught on after a minute.
Well, yeah, well, I had to correct you. I mean, but
just like a reality show, the same thing.
And it looked like that's the right words to use, you know.
We were reality before reality was cool.
That's correct. We've been doing this show like that. But some sponsors. We can do that. Remember our good sponsors, and we ask that you remember them.
Benny's Supermarket right here in downtown Opelousas. You know, Easter is not this weekend, but next year, about a week and a half away. So go get your eggs, go get your dye. You can do all that there. If you're looking for different types of food because your family's coming in, they got a deli. It's open 7 days a week with good home-style cooking. But they'll also do any kind of deli stuff you need. So maybe the whole big group's coming, and you might want to put some chicken on the grill, but the dressings, the potato salads and all that would be much easier to let Mr. Benny and his crew do for you. It's a full-blown supermarket with great meat, great fresh produce. You know, it's Easter time, so all the spring type vegetables are starting to come out. You can get adult libations as well. You can get some of the last minute seafood right now. You know, you still got 2 weeks left in Lent, so people are getting the shrimp and fish, which they also do at the deli on Fridays, and Little Benny's Sports Shack for nutritional supplemental needs, and Miss Mary's Gift Shop for Easter gifts.
I called Blake Noel, who is one of the managers, shift managers, and I needed something right away, and I was late. And he says, no trouble, Mr. Bobby, come pick it up at 5:30. It will be ready.
Don't forget about Blake's Brew House in the back with imported beers.
There you go.
One more sponsor, Carl's Thrifty Way. While we're talking about Easter, if you're looking for gifts, they got great gifts, home decorating ideas. They got great stuff for Easter and all springtime.
Just restocked completely.
And you go there, of course, you know them for their drugstore side where they do over-the-counter medications, they do prescription, they do generics, they do compounding, multiple prescriptions together. Go by Carl's Thrifty Way.
How about Miss Estelle Perrault, my Chemistry 101 teacher, along with Mr. Alfred Richard, I might mention. How about that, Alfred? And Miss Estelle. She has recently won the Motorset
Trustee Award.
Motorset Public Trustee Award. She's been very, very active in civic endeavors throughout her career, particularly after she retired, which was a long time ago. She's got some age, what her mother lived to be right at 100,
Yeah, but she started young, so she probably retired at 30-something years old.
She had taught long enough. You're right about that. And She retired, and then her real big love, of course, is education. And what is a better way to further your education than a public library?
Right.
And she works very closely with the Opelousas Eunice Public Library. And Miss Estelle, we're proud of you, and keep up the good work. And then the
Genealogy Society, the St. Landry, Imperial St. Landry and Genealogical
Imperial,
Society.
that is correct. And so we congratulate you, Miss Estelle. I know the community was proud of you.
How about this Saturday, the St. Landry Parish Veterans Memorial Committee? That's the big Veterans Memorial they're going to build down on the old Sunset Highway, just south of Opelousas. They're going to have a 5K 1-mile fun run Saturday, March 31st, this Saturday, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. They're going to start at the Evangeline Downs Event Center and make a circle around Cresswell and come all the way back around. They're going to give winners of all different ages. You can give a call to somebody. How about some of the Myers? 945-9159 or Pat Mason Gilry at 948-3657. All donations will go to help out. And that night, to do the monument, and that night, Horace Trahant will also be playing all night at Evangeline Downs, so go by. And let me hit a sponsor while we're talking about this. I talked about the Myers, LHC group, of course, Brock and Elliot Myers, two of the sons of the founder, Keith Myers and Ginger Myers. They're very involved in running and pushing this, and some of the bigger donors for this monument.
Biggest cash donor.
That's correct. If you want to go by LHC group, go by. They can help you out with all kind of different things. They got locations all over, from extended care hospitals. I was in Eunice this past week at the St. Ed's track meet. There's two big places right there, the extended care center and the home health center right as you go into town. All your local towns, look for the LHC logo on any of your home health care places, because they help you with the equipment, with the people who do rehab, the oxygen equipment, all that type of stuff. Louisiana Healthcare, all about helping people.
Father Brennan, who was a Catholic priest for 50 years and still is a Catholic priest, but he's retired now. And over the years, he's written several books, and he's recently donated them to Dupre Library at UL. And you know, it didn't take long after the three Dupre boys from Plaisance went through that school that they named the library after us. And
I don't know if I buy that.
Come on. We attended SLI, and underneath, if you look carefully when you're passing in front of that big, beautiful building, underneath Dupre, you see boys from Plaisance.
That's what it says.
That's what it says. You laughing?
All right.
Go by there next time you get a chance and look for that. But Father Brennan, of course, is still very much alive and did a lot of work on the little Richard girl. Charlene Richard, and wrote a book about her, and was a witness to some of her acts that are being used in the movement to become a saint.
That's correct.
Am I correct
Absolutely
so far?
Correct.
Yeah.
You're right on the ball.
Okay, right on the ball.
If you want to find some of those books, I know Crossroads Bookstore in Lafayette, right on Johnson, has all of his books in stock for sure. If you want to buy a book, or go to the Dupre Library and check one out.
My memory serves me correctly. He spent several years, and they loved him over in Ville Platte. And a lot of other places, but I recall that, and of course that's not far from Plaisance, you see, so I'll keep up with Ville Platte.
And I would guess he got to know Charlene, I guess, through Lourdes Hospital, because that's where she would have gone in those days. Yeah,
that's correct. The John Franks Memorial 2-year-old in training sale took place this past Sunday. On Saturday afternoon, David Como and I watched these 2-year-olds work out. And some ran for timing, others just galloped, and others didn't do it. They stayed in the stable. But those that worked out with a nice time and had the proper pedigree, they had that black type, both on the sire and on the dam side. I understand they brought some real good money.
What does that mean, black type?
Black type means they either placed or won a stakes race.
Very good.
And that
So if the
helps.
parents and the pedigree were winners, then that's what you want to have.
And they worked out well. They brought good money. But overall, I called Don Stemmons, who he and his daughter Charlotte Clavier and his team were the managers of this. Director of sales was the Don Stemmons Incorporated. So he was very satisfied. He says, as usual, the horses that have the pedigree, they're going to bring the bigger prices. But he says overall, and of course the horses that went through this sale are automatically qualified to run in a male and a female colt and a filly division.
A maiden run type thing?
No, stake race.
Oh, yeah.
A $60,000 stake for the colts and a $60,000 race for the fillies. So that brings out a lot of people to pick out one of them and seek to win that. And you remember Barracuda? Remember I talked about Mr. Sure. Barracuda beat one of Carl DeVille's horses the other day, and I called Carl. I said, that horse must be 7 or 8 years old because he won a futurity, maybe one of these back yonder. He says, that horse is 10 years old. I'm sorry. Mr. Barracuda's 10 and still running. And of course, talking about that,
go ahead.
My horse, Storm in the Lake, ran for the second time under my name. And
that's definitely a good name for a horse for you. You're the president of the 3 Mile Lake Association.
That's correct.
So,
Hadn't thought about that. Perfect race name. And horse ran second again, beat by the same horse that beat us 2 weeks ago.
No kidding.
A 9-year-old. I checked the pedigree on him. He's collecting Social Security.
Come on now.
That's how old he is. But he beat us again, and they claimed my horse. I didn't tell you that part of it.
Now what you gonna do?
I had a good. Well, I have another one that I hope is as good.
You have to claim that horse back.
But I think he's bringing him up to Kentucky. He's a Kentucky bred. He was not a Louisiana bred, but a real sound little horse. And but then I claimed them from somebody 5 weeks ago. So you know, it's just
that's how it works.
That's just how it works.
You didn't get too attached.
A lot of people don't understand the claiming race. What that does, that kind of separates the quality and the type of the horses, whether they good at 5 furlongs or a mile and 70, and how good they are. You're not going to run a real good, expensive horse for a 5,000 claiming unless you just want to steal the purse, and then somebody
might steal the horse.
So
Kessler will see on the other side of 3.
Keeps us all happy. But anyhow, thoroughbred racing will begin right here at Evangeline Downs on April the 18th. Got a big meet coming up, and I might add that as of yesterday, well, that would have been 2 days ago because the show plays for the first time on Thursday. We tape it on Wednesday morning like we generally do. And I might add that Carl DeVille has already started bringing in horses from the fairgrounds. It's not going to be running because the fairgrounds' last day is Sunday. And this weekend's going to be a huge weekend for them. They have the Louisiana Derby.
Then don't have some extra races because they had to make up with the rain.
They have 14 races that day. I'll tell you what, I went Sunday. First time I saw that horse in person. And first time I had seen any of my horses run in at least 6 months. Been watching them on the computer. And I'll tell you, I was really pleasantly surprised at the big attendance that was in attendance for it. And they tell me this weekend is going to be standing room only. It's really going to be a big one. Then you have Kentucky and Louisville playing basketball.
Final 4.
And they won't be playing Sunday. So
in New Orleans.
In New Orleans,
yeah. So then all the Kentucky people are going to go to the track too.
The people, they're going to make a big weekend of it. If you're planning on going, go early. If you're planning on trying to get a seat,
that's great.
Which is great.
New Orleans needs it.
New Orleans. They had an article in the paper. I should have cut it out. Their tourism business in 2011, last year, just blew out out of sight.
They blew me out of sight. I went in the fall with the kids and a bunch of their friends. We spent some money, had a good time. The place is just, I mean, it was nice. It was right at Christmas time.
Well, I
is when
wasn't
we
talking
went.
about money. I was talking about people. But people mean
People
money.
bring money. You know how that works.
They can tell you an average, just like the casinos can tell you exactly.
That's why that man stands at the door with that clicker.
And then he divides it into what they took in. And
Figures out what the deposit slip is going to be.
$47.39 is what the average person gambles